Good evening, everyone. With the time being 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, the first item on the agenda is the discussion and approval of the minutes from the March 11th, 2025 meeting. Is there any discussion around those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please pull the committee?
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Scarrica?
Yes.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Miller?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Good evening, Mrs. Perangeli.
I'm not as organized as I thought I was. Good evening. So tonight I would like to start out with a personnel update. We have a couple of special guests here this evening, so we will address that so they can be on their way to enjoy the rest of their evening. First of all, I want to thank you both for coming. Tonight we have with us Ms. Deb Pushes and Ms. Elizabeth Baldigger, both who have retired or will be retiring within the next few days. I will start with Ms. Pushes. Deb came to us and Deb, you're gonna have to clarify this because there were two dates in your file. It says that you were hired and I have a contract with you December 8th, 1986. I'm just gonna say I might have been, I don't know, that's when I was graduating high school maybe. But then there was another little note in there that said appointed on 7/14/87 for something else. So I don't know what you went to or if you started as a sub or as. Okay. No, I was looking through to say she might have been hired under something, but I couldn't find information in the file. Aha. So Deb was hired as a reading teacher and recently retired on January 31st, 2025 after 34 years plus in the Webster Public School. During her time here, Deb also taught kindergarten. Let me know if I miss anything. She taught kindergarten, grade 1, grade 3. You were an academic interventionist and you finished your career as a reading specialist at Park Avenue. Did I miss any grades? Did I miss any subjects? So see that, she's been through the elementary through K through 6. Deb also served as a teacher mentor for many years in Webster, supporting new staff entering in. I was able to find Deb's present for you tonight too, as you can take this with you, is your initial contract when you were hired by Jeremiah Moriarty as a reading teacher in December. Deb was hired making $11,000 that year. You were on the scale. So all I can say is 34 years of service, 35 years of service, a career, the number of students that you would have touched during that year, the lives you would have impacted, not just students in general, but your years as mentor, all the people that you've mentored, taught, advised, collaborated with, is nothing short of amazing and wonderful. This is something that I truly enjoy doing. I know it's a practice that we started just recently, a year and a half ago or 2 years, but to look through some of these personnel of when they started and reflect on their careers and to actually be part of that or actually have knowledge of you and see you in action for 25 of those years when my youngest kids were in school and seeing you with them in school is just awesome. And I cannot thank you enough for your time here in Webster. You just don't see those types of careers anymore. People move, they don't stay in one place anymore. I tell people when they are hired here in Webster, this is what I strive for. I strive for people to come work in Webster, to stay in Webster, to have a career in Webster. And I can't thank you enough for your years of service. And before I give that, I will move on. Would you like to say anything? Yeah, I know Patty would like to say something.
So I've worked with Debbie for many, many, many years, as you know, at Park Avenue. Debbie came to be known as the data queen,
Mm-hmm.
and I certainly relied on her expertise at SST meetings when we were conducting SST meetings when I was there, as well as her super duper organizational charts of all things data related. We really, really appreciated all that you contributed. I did find some piece of humor to share because we did have some fun at Park Ave among all the years we worked together. Back in 2017, we did a little presentation on opening or sometime during the year, and it was when we were 17, what was popular. And so Debbie's contribution was the year 1980. You can do the math. And her favorite movie was The Blue Lagoon. Her memorable clothing were Jordache jeans and Izod shirts. And her favorite music was Air Supply, Billy Joel, and Styx, and Elton John. And her favorite song was Escape, the Pina Colada song. And so I'm hoping that you enjoy some. You're looking younger than when you left us. So I know that retirement is doing really good things for you. Enjoy.
Thank you. And then I will move on to Elizabeth. We also have Elizabeth Baldigger here tonight. Elizabeth, like Debbie, has been in the district for 30 years. So we have 64, and you had months on you, Deb, right? Did you hit 35? I forget, it was like 60. It was right? So a lot of years of service here. Elizabeth was hired in February 6th of 1995 as a .5 ESL aide for Polish at Bartlett High School. In her time here in Webster, Elizabeth has worked in all 3 schools across the district. So you've been in every building here in Webster. Not only in the buildings during the school year, Elizabeth spent her summers working in the extended summer programs. Elizabeth is going to be retiring this coming Monday on March 31st, again after 30 years of service. And like Debbie, Elizabeth, you have also touched so many lives in dealing with so many students across the district, one-on-one supports, inclusion supports. Some of our, neediest students Debbie supported, and just I can see you with my son, actually, at one time over the years, talking with my son and working with him. And it's just such fond memories, and you were a treasure. You always treated everybody with kindness and respect. And that's one of the things I love about both of you, just an epitome of what we want our employees to be here in Webster. So I just want to say thank you so much for your service. I don't know if anybody would like to say anything. Yes?
Through the chair, I think both ladies have excelled in every position they have been in and have touched many, many students' hearts. And I had the pleasure of working with both of them over the years. And I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Yes. So I have a little something for you. And Deb, I have your contract because you might want to frame this. Oh, I also had in there, this is wonderful. This is where you appreciate the old school way of record keeping. I was able to get you both. I pulled out the Bible, which we called back in the day in the business office. It's a big black binder that has all little cards in it about the career, when they were hired. It was updated any year, before we had computers, before we had any paper. You were both in the Bible, that we called in the district. That's where we went to for everything. So it's always fun and it's interesting, but I just want to say thank you. You want to help me with that one, Lisa? In these baskets, it's a little something we started. There's some memories of Webster in the basket, some little treats. There's a little book on what to do in retirement. It's not real champagne, I'm sorry. You'll have to go to the store for that. But just some little tokens, thank you. And most importantly, there is a substitute packet for each of you in here. So please come back and sub. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. And we'll miss you. The students will miss you. Thank you. Thank you. And the same for you. Don't forget to fill out that sub packet on your way out. Thank you so much. Thank you both for everything. You are very much appreciated. So thank you. Do you want a speech?
Congratulations.
You want a speech? No? But thank you.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
I always said I didn't like change, and now I'm thinking, I guess I like change.
She has
We'll
a
come
new
back
little
and sub
grandchild to enjoy.
I just wanted to say that I actually started working in 86. I thought it was teaching English.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Today I found the
Polish people who are signing. So here it is, 1986.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
Okay.
But thank
That's
you so
amazing.
much. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you both.
Thanks. Oh, 65 years of service. That's amazing, isn't it? It's incredible. Okay. Moving on. I am happy to announce a new hire, Aisha Vilas at ABA at Park Ave. We had a recent resignation of John Dowd, who was an ABA at Webster Middle School. We have no transfers at this time, and again, the vacancies are listed for you below. If there's no questions about that, I will move on to an instructional update. The district leadership team continues to work on our instructional priority. As you know, we went through 2 days of training and support and work as a team with our SOS partners and the state. We had some work to finish up. We met again working on that instructional priority, and we have until June to submit that. But we will continue. We still have some touch-ups we need to do on it and finish that up. Once we're complete with that, we'll be bringing that forward to the school committee. On March 11th, I was able to attend some of the PLTW class showcases at Webster Middle School. It's always great to hear students excited about their learning, talking about how they approached their projects, what they learned about them, what they struggled with. Students were challenged to come up with solutions and problems created by Miss Birdie across the school. I know there was Miss Peterson, you were pretty high maintenance on that list of problems. Miss Peterson didn't want anybody coming in certain areas or in the libraries. So the kids had to figure out how to solve problems, and it was just wonderful to see how excited they are about the learning that they do on a daily basis in those classrooms. So I want to give a shout out to Miss Birdie and the school for continuing to push our students to do that work. And then on March 14th, we had a full professional development day. In your packet, I put copies of the grids that we have for our schools. As you know, we do our best to align the PD with our instructional priority, and this PD also helps our teachers meet the requirements towards their licensure. As you know, we collect feedback from our teachers in regards to the professional development they receive, and that helps us guide where we go in the future with our PD. So we take that, we read it, we look at it, we evaluate it, and that will help us guide future PD that we offer to our staff. Are there any questions about our instructional? No? Under other updates, on Thursday, March 13th, Ms. Contos and I, along with our principals from Park Ave and Webster Middle School and the head custodians there, participated in the MSBA virtual assessment. The time included an interview about our facilities and a tour walking around quickly just so they could inspect certain areas to make sure there's access and things. The MSBA does this assessment to look at buildings across the state to prioritize need. It was an interesting process. They said the last time they did it was in 2016. It was a little unorganized, but we got through it and it was done. And, hopefully they find the information useful. And then on March 13th, I attended the CMC board meeting. Again, the collaborative is working on their budget for FY26. Their tuition, they plan on keeping their tuition very competitive, and they're anticipating a possible increase of 3.5% for member districts. But if you were to compare their tuition to tuitions around the state, they are one of the lowest. So it's beneficial to be a member district for them. And then on March 21st, I attended the Southern Worcester County Educational Collaborative meeting where, again, they are working on their budget process. They are in negotiations, so they still have some continued work to do on their budget. Hopefully, we will have a budget soon. We haven't come up with a number yet on our increase there for our tuitions, but I expect it to be in line with other schools around. As you know, back in the fall, we presented Adam Phillips with the Certificate of Academic Excellence. As part of that award, Adam will be attending the Superintendent Scholar this Thursday with Ms. Nieves and myself. Again, a special congratulations to Adam, and I look forward to celebrating with him on that day. And then finally, negotiations are actively moving along. We now also have a couple of meetings scheduled with paraprofessionals, and we'll continue with our teachers' negotiations until we come to a complete resolution on that. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Perangeli. Any questions from the committee? No? Okay. Well, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Contos.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to say there's 4 weeks remaining on the renovation project before we transition from phase 1 to phase 2. This is what I like to call the sprint phase. Lots of activity, or better known as organized chaos, is going on right now in a good way, right? A lot of activities being planned at a very high level. We're really focused, the project team is focused on completing all the remaining installations in Section C, as well as all of the remaining finish work. While that's going on, they've started scheduling where they can to complete the external site work that had been on hold due to ground conditions. The other piece that's underway is the full work plan for how we get through issuing design affidavits. That requires all kinds of punch lists and reports that need to be submitted and reviewed by the design team to allow us to reach that substantial completion and get our occupancy. In addition to that, all of the utilities are being livened up. They're getting started and testing those. I can't recall if at the last meeting I told you, but the gas has been fired up and that's up and running. So we confirmed electricity and power and now gas, so that's really good news. In parallel, all the equipment is also being started up. It's being tested and balanced, so that goes across our kitchen, fire protection, plumbing, mechanical, and electrical and security. Next up will also be all the technology configuration, the pre-installation, and then when we cut over our fiber line from Section A to Section C, which will happen during the school break. Also planning when we'll be able to start training staff on our building management system equipment and continuing all the planning activities with the logistics and communications that are necessary. We've completed several inventory lists. We've had the moving company on site assessing the time it would take, as well as how many boxes and what needs to be packed and how we'll orchestrate all of that.
So our GC is extremely confident that we will hit the substantial completion date that we have planned. At the same time, there's a lot of unknowns relative to outcomes of testing, inspections, and what we'll learn. So we're remaining optimistic that we'll hit the date, but there are those blind spots that we won't know until the testing and inspections are completed. Let me pause, see if there's any questions. It's getting exciting. All right, in other updates, I'm circling back to a topic that I shared with you probably several meetings ago, and that was the fiscal year '24 single audit. As a reminder, the single audit is an audit that is done for agencies that are receiving federal funding in excess of $750,000. We received a draft report from our auditors, and overall, the audit findings were very positive and the outcome was good. Our expenditures were determined to be stated accurately across both the town and the school district. Our financial statements also came out very positive. There was one internal control finding that was discovered, and an action plan has already been developed, and that's relative to salary cost principles, where any kind of federal funding requires you to certify time and effort and those activities for all grant-funded employees. So that's been addressed, and the action plan has been put into place so that we will make sure that we have all those time and effort sheets going forward. Any questions? That's all for tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Contos.
Thanks.
Moving right along, the next item on our agenda is a principal report, and joining us this evening from Bartlett High School is Ms. Gina Nieves. Good evening.
Good evening. I don't have a lot since I was here the last one with my book, but I did want to share our attendance. So this past week, I looked up to see where we're at compared to last year, and our attendance rate has gone up 1.6%. Our chronic absence rate has gone down 12.2% compared to last year at this time. And our number of tardies, yes, it's still high, but it is going down. It's gone down 0.6% from where it was last year. We are knee-deep in our scheduling selection. We visited all of the parochial schools and the middle school to present the course selections at this point. We have met with all of our grade levels, and the rising seniors have all been met with individually this past week, and we are now meeting with individual meetings with our guidance counselors for the rising juniors. They've done it all online for the first time in a long time, so it was new as a learning curve, but they're choosing their courses. They're excited about their courses. They're using the program of studies as their guides, seeing the new courses that we have out there, and they're choosing them. They're doing their own courses. So we will end on the 11th with our 8th graders over at the middle school of April. We just started our MCAS grade 10 testing today. We will finish the ELA tomorrow with makeups through next week. Our mock AP testings have begun. They began on March 19th, and that'll go through May 1st. The actual AP testing doesn't start until May 5th, but so we're in the middle of mock testing for AP and ELA. MCAS. We have some events coming up. On March 20th, one of the big ones that we just had actually was we were able to award our first competency determinations. We had 4 students from the class of, 3 from the class of 2024 that came to get their diplomas with us, and 1 from the class of 2018 that came. They had met competency. We did a credit review. And we have 3 others that we're just waiting to hear back from the class of 2024. And so I did post those on Facebook so everyone could see that they got their diplomas. So that was that. We have April 10th. We have our first financial aid night, our second financial aid night at 6 p.m. in the CAF. And on April 11th, we have our in-school PBIS egg hunt with our kids, followed by our community egg hunt on April 13th. We also have a junior class college fair coming up in April on the 16th. And on the 29th, we're taking 2 students to the Healthy Youth Summit in Boston. They were nominated by or chosen by between our health department, our PLTW biomedical pathway, and our health classes. So they're going to go to Boston for a conference. And also in April, we have a presentation by the Mass State Police. It's called the Think Fast program they're coming in. Should be our first time, hopefully using the auditorium. It has a prom focus, so they're going to come in and do game show style presentation for our juniors and seniors attending the prom. That's all I have tonight.
Great, thank you.
You're
Sounds like lots of great things going on over at Bartlett.
Yes,
All excited for the move, I'm sure.
we are. Nervous,
Excited
but
and
we are
anxious, yeah.
ready and we're anxious and we're excited. We're everything.
Great, that sounds about right. Any questions or comments from Ms. Nieves? No? Well, once again, thank you for joining us. Nice to
course.
hear your updates.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is an update from our student rep. Good evening, Hope.
Good evening. I'm gonna start with my upcoming events. I have that Saturday school is, the next two dates are March 22nd, or were March 22nd, and then the next one is March 29th. We have 2 more students that are needed for the school council. I don't know if that's still, it is. So you can get more information if you're interested in that in Ms. Nieves's weekly email. We also have that our senior community service hours are due April 6th. Then we also have the start of our mock AP exams. We have AP Lang tomorrow, and then we have AP Lit the 27th. We have that the seniors are holding a coin war among all the grades and the staff. So each different type of coin and cash is worth a certain amount of points, and whoever wins gets something. We have the senior overnight May 31st, and we are still open to donations for that. Then we have Sunday, April 13th, being the community egg hunt. Then for updates, we have that juniors and sophomores have been meeting with guidance counselors, as Ms. Nieves said. We had our AP Calc mock exam March 18th. We have that March Madness Spirit Fridays have started throughout the month of March. This final Friday, we're doing College Day, so every student gets to wear any college's merch. We have the first session of MCAS starting today and tomorrow, and then makeups being the 27th and the 28th. And then we have that spring sports have begun. Practices have started. I don't think official games start till this coming Monday. And then we had the QCC decision day on March 18th and 19th for seniors. And that's all I have tonight.
Thanks for your updates, Hope.
Of course.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Through the chair,
Ms. Blythe?
Hope, what type of donations, or maybe Ms. Nieves will know as well, what types of donations are you looking for the overnight?
I know we're open to food. I don't know what else. I'm not sure what else.
I think right now they're looking at things to do throughout the night. So like Hope said, the food donations would be great to feed them all night long, as well as if we run games or different activities for the kids that they can walk away with something. We've always done trinkets of, the graduating year to give to the kids and throw them out throughout the night. So anything that can make this night a memorable night for the kids.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Hope? No? All right. Well, thank you again for your updates, Hope.
Of course.
The next item on the agenda under old business is the review and approval of the FY26 budget. Mrs. Perangeli?
Thank you. So as you know, we have been continuing to work as a team on the FY26 budget. We continue to collaborate with the town. What we have done is, as a group, we, after our budget workshop, we went back, we looked at the budget a little bit, and we have another update that we would like to have approved. It was a little more of a reduction, which brings us down to 3.65% budget, which we will review with you tonight. As you know, we have our public hearing coming up at our next meeting in April, so we would like to present this budget at our public hearing. Do you want to walk through some of the changes?
Sure. So what you're looking at now is really what is that revision history since we first came forward in January when the budget process started. So what we'll do is we'll focus on the bottom number, which is the 3.65% budget. Let's shift to the next slide, yep. So you've seen the other three versions and what we've done through those revisions. So let's focus in on what we have in front of you. So we've done two things. We've made some reductions, and we're proposing the elimination of 4 positions. In the reduction area, we have gone back and looked at software again to look at places where we can make reductions. We've also made some adjustments to SPED tuition. As you know, that's a real fluid process when it comes to students and students either being in district, not needing services. So we're continuing to update the budget in real time as things are actually happening. And we've also made some further reductions to our annual salary increase budget. Let's go to the next slide, and then we can take some questions. What we wanted to do for you is really put together a full picture of this evolution and break it up into 4 categories. So we have reductions that we've made either across certain line items in the budget or cutting back on curriculum to not purchase multiple years, reducing software licenses and or software packages, adjusting SPED tuition as it happens real time, as well as tweaking our utilities. We brought forward 5.5 new FTEs in our very first budget, and we are going to forego moving forward with those. As I mentioned, we're looking at workforce reductions. Those workforce reductions are across all 3 buildings. Park Ave, we're recommending the school year administrative assistant. At Webster Middle School, we're looking at a special education teacher by moving them into the Bright program. And then 2 positions at Bartlett High School, the music teacher and re-engagement specialist. The other thing that we did do relative to funding is throughout the course of the adjustments to the budget, we've applied more circuit breaker money, and we also made a budgeting geography change by moving the school resource officer to be fully budgeted under the police budget, rather than it being split across the school and the town. So that was just a budgeted geography move. So at a very high level, that encapsulates what you saw in the previous slide that shows what we did at each point in time throughout the timeline of the budget process. So why don't we just pause there for a moment so we can see if there's any questions relative to this most recent update of the budget.
Any questions from the committee with regard to the budget? It's undoubtedly a challenging year, not just for Webster, but really across any Commonwealth, any town in the Commonwealth that I've seen is having to face some really challenging decisions this year. And, you know, we had a very productive, I think, budget workshop. Was that last week? I think there were some good conversations to be had with regard to where we see ourselves headed and what we can't live without, which it doesn't feel great to live without any of this, but for sure. But want to thank everybody for all of the work that's been put into arriving where we're at this point, and let's hope that this is where we land.
Yeah, we have, as you know, it's been very tough across the community, across the town, across multiple towns. We are continuing to work and send notices to our legislators, looking and asking for a review of the Chapter 70, looking at state funding for education across Massachusetts. All of our neighboring communities are pretty much in rough shape. I would love to say that I hope this is it. This is going to be it for the cuts, but I can't guarantee that. This budget is, you know, contingent about using some additional funding from other sources at the town that we'll have to go forward and ask at town meetings. So we continue to work with the town. We continue to work. We'll be discussing with selectmen. We've already been there once, just talking about some of the, you know, difficulties we're finding with special ed and the increased costs that are driving up our budget. We continue to try and be creative as a team, spending multiple hours looking at budgets, talking about line items, talking about supplies, trying to be as creative as possible through this difficult time. So it's just, this is where we're at. We're down from the 5% that we presented in our February meeting. We told the town that we would go back, we would look at the budget. We've done that. We've made some additional reductions. We will continue to do that and continue to work on alternatives, and hopefully, we can move forward with this budget.
And I'll just add that kind of collectively for the team, the last thing anyone wants to do is make workforce reductions, right? We value all of our employees and all of their contributions, so it's really difficult when we have to get to that. But as you know, the lion's share of our budget is really in salaries, right? So we can make cuts in other areas, but they don't make the level of reductions that are necessary to hit what our revenues are and what we have to fund this budget. So I just wanted to share that these have been challenging conversations for, everyone that's making these hard decisions.
Thank you for saying that, Mrs. Contos. I couldn't agree more. Behind some of those workforce reductions are people that, that quite honestly, we value quite a bit. So thanks for bringing that up as well. Any other comments from the committee?
Through the chair.
Ms. Blythe?
Thank you for working so hard on this. The budget workshop was a really great help. This is a hard year, just like last year was a hard year. But, through it all, the administration, the students, everybody comes together. And I do want to remind everybody that what we have for extracurricular activities, we don't require students to pay to play sports. So I think that's a really good thing that we're adding to the district as well. So thank you for just keeping, the extracurriculars and all the teachers that, that do take the time after school and coach and do those extra things for the kids. But I did just want to remind everybody that we do that. And I think it's a really great benefit in this district to have everybody be able to play.
Certainly levels the playing field, if you will, right? And allows all of the kids within our community to be able to
Play and have extracurricular sport, not just sports, but clubs and, everything else that they have here. So I think that's important too, as the overall student, experience here.
Thanks, Ms. Blythe. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
One thing I'll add, the superintendent and I are participating next week in a focus group that DESE has partnered with a third party to talk about the impact of the Student Opportunity Act and ESSER. They're recognizing that data points alone don't tell the whole story, so they are looking to talk to districts about more of a narrative discussion about what people are experiencing in their districts to better understand the impact of how we're funding schools. So it'll be interesting in learning more as we sit through that focus group and then what those next steps are.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
No. So tonight we would be looking for the approval of this budget, 3.65% budget. This would be the budget that we would present next week at our public hearing. Our public hearing has been advertised and running in the paper. We're also waiting to see if we need to schedule a tri-board meeting with the town. That would be scheduled through the town typically, so we haven't heard from them yet. I know we had it on our schedule. The town administrator mentioned it once, but I don't know if they're planning on moving forward with that. And then we continue to evaluate options as a team to reduce our budget. And hopefully, once we get done with maybe some negotiations, that'll also play into what we have for additional reductions or level or where we know when we can solidify those contracts. So
Thank you.
that's where we're at.
And just a point of clarification, the public hearing isn't next week, it's at our next school committee meeting on the 8th, is that
Yes,
right?
yes, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments from the committee or anyone else? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the updated FY26 budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes. Next on our agenda under new business, we have the first reading of several policies. I will run through the title of each of these policies, and this is just a first reading on all of them. The first is Policy AC, Non-Discrimination Policy, including harassment and retaliation. Policy ACAB, Sexual Harassment, Title IX Policy. Policy ACABR, which is the grievance procedure for complaints of sexual harassment. Policy ACR, Civil Rights Grievance Procedure. Policy JLCCB, Head Lice. And Policy JLCD, Administering Medicine to Students. And finally, Policy EBB, First Aid. Good there?
Yep, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the review and approval of an amendment to the district's bullying prevention and interventions plan.
Thank you. Ms. Here apologizes for not being able to be here tonight, but she had another commitment. In your packet, you should have a copy of the bullying intervention plan. The bullying prevention plan should be updated or reviewed annually and looked at. In June of 2024, the district received a PRS complaint, which is a problem resolution system, pertaining to a student-to-student bullying allegation. Although the complaint was not found to be true, PRS noted that there was an omission in our district bullying policy. They then asked for a corrective action that required the following language to be added to the policy. And that language is, the plan affords all students the same protection regardless of their status under the law. So please consider approving this update. It is anticipated that the PRS complaint will be cleared once this is updated and posted on our website. So that phrase that I read you was eliminated from the plan. So we are now adding that and updating it. Once it's approved, we will add it to our site, and that'll clear up the issue.
So just to clarify, this used to be in the plan and it was removed and is now being put back in?
It was missing. It wasn't added. They
I
adjust
see.
it from time to time, and that was not in the plan. So we need to add that.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Members Griglia?
I just want, I don't know much about the policies, dates and stuff, but the dates are fine. We're going back to what it said, the April 14th, 2020.
Yep. And it was updated on here. It says the new one will be updated.
Okay. And then it also says in blues that the plan approved by the school committee,
What page are you on?
3. At our next meeting, I don't know if it was planned to be talked about on April 8th. And
So the plan was initially approved on April 14, 2020, and it was amended to include the language below tonight.
Right, but the date here says April 8th.
Oh, she put the, oh, I see.
I don't know,
what she
yeah, I
did.
don't know
Yeah.
if she
So that should say
anticipated it.
tonight's date, yes. I will
Thank
ask,
you for clarifying.
make that correction.
Good.
25th.
Any
you.
other questions or comments?
Thank you for catching that, actually.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amendment.
So
Uh,
moved. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
You're done?
You're good, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please pull the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is the acceptance of donations for the Girls on the Run program at Park Ave Elementary. There's 2 donations here, one in the amount of $850 from Century Tool, and the other in the amount of $170 from Laura Hackett.
We would ask the committee to accept these donations to be used for Girls on the Run in the future.
Great. Any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept these donations.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes.
I
And
would also like to thank the generosity of the people who made the donations for us, so thank you so much.
thank you, yes. And the next item on the agenda is the review, transfer, signing of warrants, bills, payroll, and vouchers. Before we move to actually signing, there is a transfer request in the amount of $5,512.44 from the Webster Middle School Activity Savings Account to the checking account. I'll entertain a motion to approve that transfer.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Member Adamopoulos? Yes. Member Scarpetta?
Yes.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Miller?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.